Hi, I'm Nicole Eller, and I am a special education teacher in a charter school in Bloomington for grades 3, 4, and 5. I am doing a mock case conference for Otto Jones, and this is based upon a real annual case conference we just had, but I have changed all the names. I was going to do this mock case conference for the IEP I just wrote for Bruno Mars. Um, However, I normally would have preferred to have just used an IEP that I have written. I've moved to a new school this year. This is my third year as an inclusion teacher. My first 2 years, I was actually the teacher of record, but in this new school, I am just a teacher of service, so I have not actually written the IEP for this student, but I did write the present level section and the goals and add the accommodations, and was of course present at this case conference. So that is why I did not use the IEP in my for that assignment, but I'm choosing to use this for the mock case conference. So in attendance we had me, the general education teacher, who we will call Candy Kelly. The parents are Mom and Dad Jones, although I did not call them Mom and Dad at the case conference, just FYI. The public agency representative was Heather Feather, and the speech language pathologist was Molly Mellon. I have not added much of Molly Mellon's piece in there, but this was an annual case conference for Otto Jones, who has an eligibility category of OHI, language impairment, and speech impairment, so she was present. Otto actually has OHI, or is under the category of OHI, but he does not have ADHD. He has a rare genetic condition. Mom shared that really I think there's only like 70 people in the world that have this specific condition. So when I wrote Otto's present levels, I did include some information from an outside evaluation they had done at Riley just last spring. And so it did have some main takeaways that include like needing a lot of repetition, multisensory teaching, just chunking new skills into smaller sessions, and lots of check-ins, things like that. So I did include that in my present levels. I tend to write a really long present levels section, as you'll see in my script, but I included Heggerty from phonemic awareness, which we went over all this with parents. The UFly decoding assessment, I did that twice. A UFly decodable passage, a guided reading level using Fontes and Pinnell benchmark assessment system, words their way spelling inventory. I did comprehension questions following an LLI guided reading book where I actually read this one aloud. Since Otto is reading at a level C, which is about a kindergarten level, and Otto is in 4th grade, I wanted to give Otto the chance to practice some comprehension skills with a text read aloud. So I did this just to kind of get a good idea about where Otto is at for comprehension skills on grade level. I included NWEA scores on here, where for reading, literature is a relative strength, language usage, writing, developing, and revising for purpose and audience is a relative strength. For math, geometry, measurement, and data analysis is a relative strength. For math, I also used Bridges intervention placement assessment information, where I noted that Otto is able to solve sum, addition, and subtraction problems, sometimes using 10 frames. He is in my math class, which is a foundational class where we're actually just slowing down the material, doing a little bit less jumping around, adding more repetition. And so these are the kinds of things that actually followed that psych eval, some of the needs that Otto has also. For daily living skills, one of the things that we need to be aware of that Otto is sensitive to heat, and emergency services should be called if Otto experiences severe chest pain. But he is a very hard worker and willing to use resources when available, and there are no behaviors of concern. So parents' concerns were that he has a lot of health needs, obviously, and that also there's been a lack of progress, and they wanted to try some new approaches. This was sort of difficult for me coming in as a new teacher. I can't really be certain that the services that Otto received in the past years, I don't know exactly what was going on there, if maybe not all of his services were being met, and if so, like, were they appropriate to his level of need. Mom and dad did talk about that as their concerns. They are both concerned with the lack of progress and discussed the newest evaluation results. And also, they really emphasized wanting to try something new with the interventions that we were providing, which I was happy to hear, because I had actually had a bunch of new stuff proposed already to hopefully address that concern. For goals, I gave Otto 5 goals. The first goal was for decoding. Otto will use phonemic awareness strategies and apply phonics knowledge to decode increasingly complex, unfamiliar words with 80% accuracy by the end of the IEP. For comprehension, when text is read aloud, Otto will complete a narrative pyramid for fiction or a graphic organizer for nonfiction in 4 out of 5 opportunities by the end of the IEP. For encoding, Otto will use phonemic awareness strategies and phonics knowledge to spell increasingly complex and familiar words with 80% accuracy by the end of the IEP. For number sense, Otto will count forwards and backwards by 1s, 5s, and 10s through 100 with 90% accuracy by the end of the IEP. And for computation, Otto will correctly solve 2-dition addition using the algorithm method with and without regrouping with 80% accuracy by the end of the IEP. So if we come down here, and I just now realized I skipped Miss Kelly and her addition to the present level section. Miss Kelly discussed strengths of the student, and which include being a hard worker and a great helper in the classroom. And Miss Feather discussed that Otto is a great community member. Just in general, I think this charter school that I work at really focuses heavily on strengths, which I think is great. It does seem like a lot of the conference is spent talking about strengths, which that's not a bad thing in itself, but it leaves me wondering a little bit about where we're focusing on our time, because I feel like a student, especially like Otto here, we have a lot to talk about, and so this is just something that's kind of new to me in this new position, and how to navigate covering all the bases, I guess, and expectations. So back to goals. Mom and dad, with the goals, they did have concerns that the math goals were similar to the ones from last year. The team discussed possibly changing those to ones focusing more heavily on place value. Mom suggested that she would like a math goal where Otto could make a hundreds chart in multiple ways, and the team decided to kind of discuss more options and get in contact again with a new math goal. Again, I feel like I'm just left wondering, I'm not sure how much, if last year's math goals were being, or math services were being provided with fidelity, so it's that one was kind of rough, because I feel like those really kind of fit the bill with what I've been seeing with his math performance in class. So I guess that's a to be determined on how that might turn out. And I suppose that's one of the things with case conferences is, you know, you're working with a lot of people and trying to coordinate with everybody. So if I need to maybe compromise on that one, I'm okay with that. Let's see. The next thing we talked about was services. So the decoding and encoding goals will be serviced with the UFly Phonics Intervention Group, and that uses a multisensory approach, which is suggested in the psychological evaluation. The comprehension goal will be serviced in a one-on-one service with a certified teacher, which I think that's going to end up being me, where the text will be read aloud so the auto may focus on comprehension activities. And the math goals will be serviced during Otto's foundational math class with me as well. So it looks like Miss Feather discussed the servicing options, and she mentioned that those that comprehension piece could be serviced with a Title I support staff member. I think Mom and Dad were both really kind of hoping that that could happen with me. And you know, we really wanted to kind of work in a lot of writing skills with that as well, and not just worry about that encoding goal, but use this as an opportunity to not only work on reading comprehension but writing as well. Handwriting is a difficulty for Otto, so we were gonna use specially lined paper to fill out those narrative pyramids and the graphic organizers. So I might try to make some specific resources for this student. And as for accommodations, so we reviewed the current state testing accommodations, which are testing in a small group, provided preferential seating, has text read aloud, accept items testing reading comprehension for math, but including items testing reading comprehension for ELA. And then he does have access to embedded speech to text accommodations for iLearn. I added on that we wanted to include extra time and hundreds chart and multiplication table to the state assessment accommodations. Miss Kelly reviewed that all the classroom accommodations were being used in the classroom. She said that sometimes Otto uses speech to text, but also has opportunities for writing practice. And Mom was assured that classroom accommodations would stay the same. And Mom asked for that specially lined paper to be added to the IEP and the classroom accommodations list. I think some of his other classroom accommodations included a special a slant board for writing, and just I think multi-sensory pieces and extra manipulatives were included on his classroom accommodations as well. So I think that covers mostly everything from that case conference. I am used to actually following an actual IEP when I do a real case conference. So sorry if I've been a little bit jumping around and I've not been trying to pretend to be 4 or 5 different people. Perhaps I could have used different voices or something. I'm sorry I wasn't that theatrical this evening. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.